Thank you very much. The next 6-minute round will go to Ms. MP Gord Johns. You have 6 minutes.
Thank you, Minister, for being here. As you know, we've just heard recently that the Restaurant Association of Canada says that 1 out of 2 independent restaurants don't expect to reopen. The BC Chamber of Commerce in British Columbia has also identified that over 50% of businesses that are closed right now don't expect to reopen as well. We know how important rent is. Australia has a confederation as well. Like Canada, they've worked with the provinces. They've come up with an agreement. We presented an agreement 2 weeks ago. My colleague Peter Julian and I, we were happy to see the Prime Minister 5 days later commit to rent abatement. The problem is it's 9 days ago, where tomorrow is 1 week away from half of businesses in this country not able to pay their rent. We're on the verge, we're on the cliff right now of losing half of the small businesses in this country. One of my constituents, Amy Haddikin, she owns a Kickstart Fitness and Yoga Studio in Parksville, showed up and her doors were locked. She was able to negotiate paying the triple net, which is $1,700 from zero revenue right now, to pay that to get the locks taken off and buy some time. They need to know when you're going to have this agreement in place. It's a week out. Are you going to have a deal done by the end of the week with the provinces so that you can provide relief? And they're not looking for loans. They're looking for subsidies to help them get through this. They can't afford more debt or they're going to walk away.
Well, Mr. Johns, thank you so very much. And I appreciate this very much. And indeed, I need to thank you for your work, because you and I have spoken throughout this time of COVID-19. So I really do appreciate your input, and this is really sort of a Team Canada approach. So I appreciate that. And as someone who grew up, as a young person in the restaurant business, I understand how important and how valuable.
I appreciate that. Really, what I need to know is when.
We're working.
Time's running out. We're on the cliff of losing half of the businesses in this country. They need to know tomorrow so they can start negotiating with their landlords, Minister. So if you can give us a timeline, are you going to have a deal done by the weekend?
We're working really hard at that. The Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister, we're all working hard to make sure that with the provinces and the territories, we're able to come up with that support for our Canadian businesses. So as fast as we can. And I understand the urgency. I really, really do.
We are on a historic moment, Madam Minister Ng. We are hearing that businesses under 5 employees from the BC Chamber of Commerce as well, 49% of them can't find federal programs that suit their needs. I know that you've made amendments in terms of the Canadian Emergency Bank Account. You've lowered the threshold on payroll and you've upped it. The problem is a lot of proprietors are still falling through the gaps. They're not able to access that loan. I'll give you an example. Christy Stroger-Lotzen, who owns Soak Essentials in Parksville, British Columbia, she has a payroll of $18,000. She can't access the Canadian Emergency Business Account. We're going to put forward a proposal today, the NDP, that you use another measurement, to consider another measurement, that is gross revenue, so that you're not just focused on payroll, and that those proprietors can demonstrate, say you have a gross revenue of $200,000 a year and you're collecting $14,000 a year in GST or the portion of the HST. Over 3 years, you'd collect $42,000. So the risk to the government is low by giving them the loan and the rebate versus losing that business and losing all of that tax collection. Will you consider looking at another measurement so that people get the support they need?
We've said right from the beginning that we are going to always listen to businesses to make sure that we are getting the support out to them. And I really appreciate what you have shared. I would also say the work isn't done, and we are going to intently and continue to do this work to help support businesses just like the one that you just described. And I really want to thank you for that work.
Hours matter on this, Madam Minister. The other person, Lisa Bernard Christensen, so she runs a business, a dog grooming business. She leases out chairs to other in her salon to other groomers, and she basically collects rent from them. It's a flow through. That rent goes right to the landlord. So right now through CERB, she can't collect any CERB, even though she's running at a massive, she's pouring red ink right now and losing money. because of the stipulation that says employment or self-employed income is the measurement. So she may be collecting money from other chairs and submitting it to the landlord, but she's losing money and can't qualify for CERB. She's got a son who's diabetic. She's, can't buy food right now. And the government needs to look at this and fix it. Can you look at gross profit instead of employment income as a measurement so that self-employed people that aren't able to access these benefits get the support they need now?
Well, Mr. Johns, thank you very much for that. And, as I said right from the get-go, our work isn't done. And we continue to hear from businesses, and we will continue to take that input for businesses. I'm going to keep working hard. Our government is going to keep working hard to make sure that we are supporting those very incredible businesses and entrepreneurs who make up such, who are such contributors.
She's running out of money, and she needs help now. Minister Ng, I just talked to the Huu-ay-aht First Nation. They can't access the Canadian Emergency Wage Subsidy because they have a limited partnership. They're an Indigenous-owned corporation. They're going to have to send their employees home. They've been working for years to get to this place, and there should be no reason that they're excluded. Was this oversight, or will you be able to fix this immediately and save this Indigenous-led tourism-based business?
We have provided extraordinary support to Indigenous-led businesses through the AFIs and through organizations like NACA. My colleague, Minister Miller, has been working, we've been working together to make sure that support absolutely goes to these incredible businesses, Indigenous-led, Indigenous-owned businesses. And happy to follow up on that business in particular, but we have put out significant supports because we do want to see those businesses weathered through this period.
Minister, I'm sorry, Minister, I'm going to have to cut you off. That's the time for